Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the North Shore 9 podcast presented by FanDuel. I am your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have Colin Beazley from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Colin, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. You don't have to lie, but we're happy that you are here.
Happy to be in Orlando. Also happy to be with you guys.
That's also a lie from what I heard last night, but okay. But no, we're here. We have an AMA going on. It's your first time here for the winter meeting, so I kind of want to ask you, how was your first time here? What is your main focus of the winter meetings this year?
Well, I mean, it's just getting started. So I've enjoyed what I've seen so far. I've enjoyed seeing everyone out and about last night, seeing people around today. Quite honestly, I just want to talk to as many people as possible, whether they're Pirates related, whether they're other journalists. I want to talk to as many people as possible in order to introduce myself and to hear what's going on with this team.
Awesome.
There's plenty of storylines.
Well, I think the people want to hear what's going on with this team as well. There's already been so much smoke. I mean, everyone knows that if you're a Pirates fan. If you're not even a Pirates fan, I mean, you talk about meeting people. We were talking to people last night, and it's like everyone want to talk about Pirates. So it's kind of crazy. You're in a situation where the Pirates are being talked about right now nationally. So with that being said, though, we do want to ask you guys some questions to relay over here. So first question is from Michael Davis. Hearing anything on Pirates and Ketel? Seems like a great match if Arizona wants starting pitching. Hopefully they're aggressive, but also depends if he'd approve a deal in which he goes to Pittsburgh, I believe.
I don't know anything about a no trade clause or exactly how that would work, but in some ways it does make sense because the Pirates need a bat, the D-backs need pitching, but I expect the price to be exorbitant for Ketel Marte. He's got 5 years of team control left. He's really good. Might be the best hitting second baseman in the league right now. I expect the price to be extremely high. Yes, the Pirates could, but I think that would be something where you'd have to get exorbitantly expensive to the point where trading like a Bubba or trading one of these guys that I'd assume they consider untouchable. So you never know. Maybe you can pull something off there, but that's something I expect that price to be really, really expensive.
Yeah, that's interesting because he is really good. You expect it. I mean, in your mind, do you think they would entertain giving up Bubba? If that's what it would cost to Ketel Marte?
I don't think so. I don't want to call anyone untouchable, not named Paul Skeens. However, I think that with what Bubba showed in his first little glimpse of major league experience, with how much team control he has left, I think he's a guy that would be really, really difficult to move on from.
Okay. Awesome. All right, let's even go to our next question. So Brian Oliver asked, is there an actual chance they could sign Kazuma Okamoto? And is there any news on left-handed pitchers being courted?
I do think there's an actual chance they could sign Kazuma Okamoto. I don't know exactly what his price would be or how exactly his market is developing. That's another thing I'm hoping to learn more about while I'm here. But he's someone that I think would fit a lot of boxes for the Pirates. I think he's someone that probably would be worth the gamble for them. I think that he's someone who wouldn't be exorbitantly expensive. I think he'd make a lot of sense, but you have to see how his market develops before you say anything for sure.
Okay.
And as for the second part of that question with the left-handed pitchers, I would expect them to be in that market, especially now that they've traded Johan Oviedo. If you trade a guy like Mitch Keller or if you deal further in that pitching depth, then you need something. They currently don't have a lefty on staff. Their only lefty is Hunter Barco. I don't know whether he's going to start in the big leagues, AAA, whatever, but I know he's also not going to pitch 200 innings for the Pirates next year.
Right.
I think a left-handed starter would make a lot of sense, regardless of if they make a trade, but especially if they trade more from their pitching depth.
Good to hear. All right, next question. So from Nathan, do we think the Pirates will do anything of substance during these winter meetings, or do we see a majority of their moves done after?
I mean, that's something that's tough to tell as of 11/11 on Monday, but I will say they have momentum right now with after the trade for the password last week. They've kind of gotten the ball rolling, and I think that the front office understands that they missed some opportunities last year after making a trade for Horwitz and not really doing anything after. I think there is real emphasis on making sure that doesn't happen again this year. Does that mean a trade over the next 3 days? I don't know, but I do think they understand that they need to do more than just one trade after seeing how last year went.
Is Ben Cherington aware that if he doesn't do anything, Jim has to get eaten by an alligator?
I have not. I can neither confirm nor deny that Ben Cherington is aware that Jim may be eaten by an alligator at some point during this winter meeting.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess next question. Sevenfold Crypto asks, which prospects do you see them trading for a big piece? We all know they won't trade Griffin or Bubba. Who is a realistic name or names to go, and what is the most likely return?
I feel like there's a lot in there, so I'm not 100% sure how to. Like, I'm not going to cook up some mock trade off of just to speculate on it. With prospects, I could see them dealing from their depth. I could picture them trading a Hunter Barco or a Thomas Harrington or a Wilbert O'Tell, Antoine Kelly, that sort of pitcher. I could see them trying to move off of Termar Johnson as well, or throwing them in. I think that that's a name that you could potentially see go, but until you get into specific trade partners and what each specific team is looking for, I can't say anything for sure on that.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about Ketel Marte, and like it would probably take like a Bubba. You feel like they're probably not going to make that type of a move. So, are you kind of insinuating that basically, like outside of Bubba and Connor, everyone is more or less available?
That's what I'd assume. Like I don't know how they value a guy like Edward Florentino. I'm honestly really curious about that because he's a top 100 prospect, but he's also so far away.
Right.
I don't know how the Pirates value him, how other teams would value him. I've seen that brought up a little bit online. I don't really know what interest would be on either side of that.
Even like a Seth Hernandez, same concept.
Yeah, same concept there. I know that the Pirates think really, really highly of both of those guys, so I don't think they'd want to move either of them. However, when you're looking to improve the team and improve for 2026, I think basically everything should be on the table.
Okay. All right. Well, next question we have from Brett Gray. He says, we have a couple of days until the Rule 5 drafts, but any guys to keep an eye out for who they might take, Pirates, and guys we might lose?
Yeah, so I wrote an article about this on Post-Gazette.com. I highly recommend giving that a read, where I talked about 3 guys they could target and 3 guys that they could potentially lose. I will say I don't think that they're going to lose anyone in this draft. I think that they protected just about anyone who's worth protecting when they added the Dotells and Kellys of the world to their roster.
Fair.
They do have an open roster spot. There are a couple of guys that I think could make sense. One that could make sense is Kyler Fedko. He's a Pittsburgh guy, outfielder in the Twins organization, has hit well in AAA. That's a name that maybe could be worth monitoring. I think Yohendrick Panango is another outfielder who's done well, but the Rule 5 draft is mainly a time for pitchers.
Right.
There's a whole lot of interesting pitchers out there, some who are injured and you wouldn't even have to protect, some who you would have to stash in your bullpen. There's a lot of guys in there. I'd recommend reading my article for more detailed information on those guys.
All right, there you go. Next question. So from Gregory Hoyle, did anyone see Tommy Pham beating dudes up in the parking lot or lobby? Colin.
Where in the world are you getting this sort of thing from?
Did he see anyone?
Did you see Tommy Pham? I don't even know how to respond to that one.
All right, I guess we'll move on.
Well, thanks for the laugh, but that's good.
This is from IG user AJH24DNP. What's a realistic opening day payroll? Are these reports of 35 million just to get us back to 85 million?
The Pirates are currently at around 60 million in terms of their payroll right now. If the season were to start tomorrow, if they weren't to sign anyone, make any trades, do anything, when I read 30 to 35 million, I still think that that's more to get them into the range they were in last year, which is 90 to 95. That is space. That is space that you can actually improve the team. You can go out and make a splash without going much higher than 90 to 95, but that's currently where I'd expect it, in the 90 to 100 million range.
Okay. And then Carson asks, is Nick Gonzalez a locked start in 2026?
I don't think so. I think that the Pirates have bigger issues than Nick Gonzalez in a lot of ways. I think they have bigger needs in left field and third base, notably. However, I do think that they're trying to improve pretty much everywhere. They've reportedly taken looks at guys like Polanco and then like I don't know whether Brandon Lau is a name that they've actually looked at, but I know he's one that's been speculated. Those are both second basemen. That kind of shows me that they're interested in upgrading that position. I could see them improving pretty much anywhere on the field. I wouldn't consider anyone a lock to start, with the exception of, say, an O'Neal Cruz and a Brian Reynolds.
Okay, let me actually expand upon that, because I think there's been speculation that kind of goes into Nick Gonzalez's playing time as well in that question. I mean, you mentioned second baseman with that. I feel like they've also targeted some first basemen. Mm-hmm. Is the thought of that too, if they get a first baseman, to then put Spencer Horwitz at second, which of course puts Gonzalez's job in jeopardy?
I don't know that I don't know exactly what they do in that case. We'll talk to Don Kelly later today, and that's something I'm interested in seeing. We'll talk to Ben Cherington too, and how they view Spencer Horwitz, whether he's just a first baseman, whether he can play some second as well. Spencer Horwitz is a guy I certainly expect to have a large role in this team. He performed really, really well in 2025. I don't know whether they'll get more creative and say he'll play some first and some second, whether he's just a platoon first baseman, whether he's a full-time first baseman. I don't know how they view it. It's something I'm looking forward to finding out more.
Okay. And then Richard says, who will make a bigger splash in free agency, the Reds or the Pirates?
That kind of seems like which team will sign Kyle Schwarber. That seems like an interesting way to ask that in there. I don't really know between those two teams. I haven't read too far into the Reds. I don't know how much cap space they have. I don't know what's on the books, what's off the books for them. I think that both of these teams are teams that benefit a little bit from just being in the running for Kyle Schwarber. Perception wise, they want to be out there. They want to be making a play for these guys. I don't know that either is realistic. I still think Kyle Schwarber is going to end up back in Philadelphia. I don't know where the Reds would go if they don't get Schwarber. I've got more ideas for where the Pirates would go after Schwarber, but I don't know which team would make a bigger splash. Of course, if either gets Schwarber, then congrats, you've won that race.
There you go. All right. And then Jay Greasy says, have you heard anything interesting about Marco Luciano? Changes they think he can make, and why they think they can fix what went wrong in San Francisco?
I haven't heard anything about changes. However, when you look at who Marco Luciano was and how like where he was on prospect rankings, he was viewed as the Giants shortstop of the future. He used to be a top 20 prospect. So the potential is there. The tools are there. He's got pop. I know the defense wasn't necessarily there, but he's still just 24. It's something where the Pirates lose nothing other than a roster spot by giving him a shot. Obviously, if he doesn't work out, you can't send him to the minor leagues. So there's a good chance that this doesn't end up being anything. However, maybe he does end up acting on some of that potential and coming up as a decent major league hitter. The Pirates don't lose anything by giving him a shot.
Right.
So there's no reason not to try.
Okay, awesome. Well, that wraps up our AMA. We appreciate all your questions and such. Before we let you go, I'm going to ask you one big, bold prediction at the Winter Meetings this year.
I think my bold prediction is Jim does not get eaten by a crocodile. I think that's my guess.
What a disappointing ending. That's not what the people wanted, Colin. That's not why you're here.
Am I supposed to tell them that Jim will no longer be on Twitter and no longer be on this earth either?
Yes. Bring on the alligators. All right, Colin Nova Frill. We appreciate it. And again, tell everyone we can find your work in that article.
You can find all of my work at post-gazette.com. Myself and Jason Mackey will have coverage all winter meetings, all off season, all season. You can check out all of our work there. You can follow me on Twitter, Colin_Beazley. Thank you guys for watching.
All right. Well, thanks for joining. Again, we appreciate you all. We'll be back again soon today. Hopefully, maybe one or two more AMAs and a wrap up. So, again, make sure that bell's on, notifications. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.